Today is Friday, November 3rd, 2023, and welcome to the most recent installment of MacMull's Musings. Today I want to talk about something that's actually very, very important, and it is a tension between free speech and hate speech. And as we say in my house, free speech good, hate speech bad. Specifically, I want to talk about how the New York Times published an article yesterday in which roughly a little more than a dozen New York-based law firms, some of them the largest firms in the country, wrote a collective letter to various law schools in which they are, I guess, asking these law schools, and specifically the administrations, to better educate their law students. By that I mean, since the October 7th Hamas attacks in Israel, there has been a rise of antisemitism on law school campuses. Just last week, I think law school students at Cornell University received some online threats, and this is a real concern to some top-level law firms in New York and elsewhere for that matter, and it should be. Certainly free speech is important, and the ability to talk about perhaps sometimes sensitive issues in a measured way is an important part of a civil democracy. But there's a distinction between that and advocating hate speech. And the criticisms that have come about by these law firms is that some law schools, and again I'm talking about administrations, have been effectively complacent in allowing really what is tantamount to anti-Semitic statements being made on campus, such that Jewish students are fearing for their safety. And law firms rather are taking this very seriously, because they point out that when these students graduate, they are joining these large prestigious law firms who have multicultural certainly offices and very diverse client bases. And perhaps most importantly, they have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to issues of anti-Semitism as well as Islamophobia. So I wanted to raise this just in the event that those out there in TV land may have missed it, because I think it's a really important issue. But it also highlights a sort of tension that I think is going on between law school campuses and what is permissible in the real world. Certainly, universities generally, as a rule, are known for being certainly more left of center, where certainly traditional law firms are often more conservative. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this tension plays out in the coming not only months but I think years. And again, this is not just puffery on the part of law firms. I know that Davis Polk and Wardwell, for example, rescinded offers to certain law school students after they discovered that these law school students had posted or at least had endorsed anti-Semitic remarks that were made at other schools. So this is an important issue. And if you haven't read the article, I invite you to do it. But more importantly, I think it's going to be something that we should all be watching going forward, because again, I think there is a fundamental tension between what law schools may be permitting on campus and what law firms, the end game at the end of the day, may be commanding of their junior associates when they begin the practice of law.